Hi teachers, this video is to show you the dictation lesson that you will do on Tuesday. Let me show you the resources first that you have in your Google Drive to look at. Go to Block 1, Reading Resources. Go to Spelling Level 2. I want you to look at a typical week in spelling. This is one that I showed you when I modeled dictation sentences. I also want you to look at the dictation and penmanship rubric. I want you to pay close attention to this, have it printed off and close by, so that when we go to assess what the children do during this lesson, we can pull out some teaching points that we can use with the children. Okay. The other thing in here is spelling dictation lessons 2 through 5. This has the sentences that you will use. I will have these printed off and ready for you on Monday, so you will not need to print them. You will need to cut them apart and attach them to paper as I did when I modeled. So you won't have to worry about making those copies. I will make them for you. Let's see, back. And let me show you some visuals that I have on some slides to show you exactly what you'll need to do that day. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to give each child a sticky note. They're going to have a pencil. And what we're going to do here is we're going to give them a mystery word. Okay, and this is outlined on that typical week in spelling document that's in your Google Drive. Okay, so our word that we're going to do is the word whack. Our purpose in doing this is to give them a word that is not one of their regular spelling words, but has the same spelling patterns that we're teaching this week, so that we're teaching them to generalize these spellings in any word they want to spell, not just memorizing the spelling words to be able to spell them correctly on Friday. We're looking for that pure transfer across the curriculum of being able to spell whenever they need to. Okay, so we're giving them strategies to put in their tool belt. So you're going to have a sound leader for the word whack. Or I'm sorry, let me back up. First thing you're going to do is just tell them, spell the word whack on your sticky note. Cover it up, no peeky poos, spell it the best you can. Okay? Then after all the children have that spelled, then you're going to get a sound leader. Okay? You're going to tell the children there are 3 sounds in this word. Okay? You're going to ask the sound leader, what's the first sound that you hear in the word whack? We're hoping they say what. Okay? If they don't, then we're going to help them. We're not going to ask anyone else. We're doing anything we can to support them. Okay? We don't ask other children to help them. We help them. Or we question them to help lead them to the right answer. That's the best practice. Okay? So then you ask, what are the 2 ways to spell the W sound? Okay? They can choose W or WH. That's what we're looking for. Do they know those 2 spellings? Okay? There's no way for them to know for sure unless they have visual memory for this word already. So we're going to tell them that in this word, we spell it with a WH, and you're going to write that down for them on a board or piece of paper with sound dots, okay? If they have a WH, have them put a dot under that WH. If they do not, ask them to circle it and write WH above it. Then you're going to ask your sound leader, what's the next sound that you hear in whack? Okay, and the next sound is a. Okay, and then we spell that with an A. If they have an A, tell them to put a dot under it. If they do not have an A, tell them to circle it and put the A above it. Okay, what's the last sound in whack? All right. Then we need to stop them and say, okay, there are 2 ways to spell at the end of a word. Okay, K or CK. Now this is where that poster comes in handy if they can't tell you this. that you can pull that out, okay? So in this word, we have a one-letter vowel, so we use a CK. If they have a CK, tell them to put a dot under those two letters, just one dot, because it's representing one sound. If they do not, have them circle what they have and write a CK above it, okay? Now, the purpose in having them dot and circle and correct on their own is because we're teaching them to be good editors of their own writing so that they're not relying on us. So this is one step in teaching them editing practice. We also want to remind our children this is not an assessment, okay? I mean, it kind of is for us, but we're not taking a grade. We're kind of using this as a formative assessment to see if they can apply these patterns and if they can articulate these phonics guides. So it's not a big deal if they don't spell them correctly because this gives us the opportunity to teach, okay? Then either at the bottom of their sticky note or on the back, have them write the word whack correctly, okay? And if it helps you to use this PowerPoint, that's fine. But if you don't want to, you don't need to. Don't worry about it, okay? Then they'll be done with the sticky note and you're going to give them one of the sentences for this week. You may or may not have time to do both. I would rather you do good work with one sentence than to try to get both done, okay? Because this lesson hits a lot of objectives. And if you look at that typical week in spelling, those objectives are listed out for you. It's a really powerful tool. Okay, so I'm going to model with this sentence. The first thing you're going to do is give them 30 to 60 seconds to just read this softly to themselves, okay? Then you're going to ask 2 or 3 children to read it aloud while the other children are pointing and reading along. The purpose of this is to make sure everybody is hearing the same sentence. You're giving them that quiet time to practice on their own because they're getting to practice their own decoding skills. And when they read aloud, then you're offering them support and helping them correct any errors. One of the things you'll want to point out as they're reading this is look at the punctuation at the end of this sentence. We need to read this like a question. Which whips will the small man check? Not just which whips will the small man check, okay? We don't want to teach them to be robot readers. This is a great opportunity to practice fluency and to attend to punctuation. And doing it with a very short text will help them then apply that to longer text later. So these sentences are powerful. So once you have let them read it independently, then they've read it aloud, then this is where the work of creating that mental image comes in. Okay? And so we're going to want to help the child to create an image in their mind and say, what do you see in your mind when you read this? Well, what do you think these whips are for? What do you think? Why is he checking them? What do you think? You know, where is this man? Is he outside? Is he in a barn? Where do you see all of this taking place? Help the child to fill in any details. Give them context. If they don't know what a whip is, you might need to explain that to them so that they can have a clear mental image in their mind. So take a couple of minutes to do that. That talking before letting them color is super important. Some children are very good at visualization, but you'd be surprised that there are many children that cannot visualize. And so we have to scaffold them and help them do that. Again, this is going to be super powerful when they start reading longer text later so that they can use visualization to help them with their reading. It's an excellent comprehension skill that children need. So then you're going to set a timer. You're welcome to borrow one of our iPads in the room, or you could have your phone close by, whatever makes you comfortable. But set a timer, give them, 4 to 5 minutes to just draw. No pencils, no writing, just draw a picture. They're going to be tempted to talk. That's not okay. They need to, their brain can only do one thing at a time. So have them coloring, and you're just going to sit back and, kind of, oh, wow, I like that. And, oh, tell me about what you're making here. You can visit with them a little bit. But really, it's just a time for them to get that mental image down on paper, because that will help them with the next part of this. Okay? After they have their picture drawn, and once the timer has gone on, even if they're not finished, that's okay. They can always go back and add more later. But don't give them more than 5 minutes, because you need to get the sentences going now, okay? So if they didn't get done, say, that's all right, we'll write our sentences, and then hopefully we'll have time to go back, okay? So they're going to go back, and they're going to now get out their pencil, and their first job is just to copy that sentence exactly as it is, okay? Just as I have it written for them. And here we're focusing on penmanship, finger spacing. If you see a second grader not using finger spaces, stop them immediately. It is not okay in second grade not to have finger spaces. Remind them to put the finger spaces in. Also, watch for children with reversals. Stop them and help them fix their reversals. There's no reason that anything in that first sentence should be misspelled, because they have a model right there on their paper for them. After they finish writing the sentence, writing my sentence, then they're going to create their own sentence to tell more about what's going on in their picture. So, which whips will the small man check? Maybe another sentence would be, he is checking the whips for the riders in the race, and you might need to do some scaffolding there. Sometimes kids have trouble with this at the beginning of the year, and we just have to have them maybe share some sentences that they may write to get the brain juices flowing to get that written down. Okay? So give them time to write their own sentence. Again, watch for finger spaces, watch for reversals in letters, watch that they're putting capitalization where it belongs. Since you're working in such a small group, you're going to be able to do a lot of great intervention on the spot, okay? If they get their 2 sentences written down, the one I wrote and theirs, then they can go back and they can add more detail to their picture, okay? If they say, I'm done, when you think you're done, you've just begun. Go back and add detail to your picture, or add detail to your words. Do that until everybody gets finished, and then you can move on to the second sentence if you have time. Now, if you have a little dawdler who's taking forever and they're just not working, I would go ahead and move on to that second sentence and tell them that you will give that paper to me, and I will give them time at a later time of day where they will have to finish that for me, but that it will need to be completed. But we're not going to make all the other children sit around and wait on them, because some kids have learned that if they stall practicum students, they aren't actually going to have to do the work. We're going to make sure they do the work, and we're going to make sure that everybody gets to move, that we get these lessons moving along, and that somebody's not just holding us up. They're kids, and they're going to attempt it. So, teachers, I hope that helps you get going. These 2 posters here you might want to have on hand just to reinforce those spelling patterns if they are not learning them yet, and reinforcing those. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. There is no dumb question. There is so much thrown at you guys, and your brain can only hold so much. So if you forget something, it's not a big deal. I'll just tell you again. All right? Thanks a lot, ladies. I appreciate all that you're doing to learn how to do this and to help our kids. I really appreciate it.